Okay, so we just got all cracked up there. We just talked about we're gonna just tell y'all, hey, these all suck. Don't watch them. That's gonna be the end of the video. So,
Yeah.
but no, in all seriousness, these are our worst movies of slash TV shows. We get to choose between the wonderful selections that are the worst things we've seen in 2024. But this is our worst of video for 2024, and of course, we have to start by giving y'all our worst that we had from last year, or sorry, 2 years ago. So, but before we do, if you enjoy what we're doing, please support our channel. If you would, we'd really appreciate it. Give us a like, subscribe, share, comment. Let us know where you would rank your worst movies of 2023, or sorry, 2024. And also on our best video that you would give us what you think were your best movies from 2024. So we're just going to kick it off right here with our worst from our previous video from a year ago, and just kind of walk you back through that, just a little flash from the past, and we'll start out with Schultz's worst from last year.
Well, I mean, I think Ant-Man.
Does the first one need any explaining?
Not really. The Wasp, literally the Ant-Man and Wasp, and just defeat probably like one of the biggest bads of the Marvel Universe. And yeah, that was just like a terrible writing, in my opinion. And it was very corny and dumb. So,
and if you didn't watch our MCU consensus rankings, which shameless plug, go watch our Marvel consensus rankings videos. We had this one, I think, of 34 movies, we had it at 33, and it was like deadlocked with the Marvels for the worst MCU movie. So that gives you any inkling on how we feel about it. That's kind of where we're at with that. So.
I think it's probably on all three of our lists.
Yeah,
probably. Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know why I always put myself through
ding dong.
Always like, oh yeah, this could be a decent movie. It's M. Night Shyamalan, and I was just like going to it like, okay, this could be decent. Who knows? And then I'm always met with disappointment every single time, and I don't know why I do it to myself, but
you're a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, I guess. But no, like Knock at the Cabin, like it literally, I was expecting, because like M. Night Shyamalan always has like a twist in his movies, like where you're like, oh my god, that's crazy, and this one just like didn't even have one. It just literally ended exactly how it started, like how they said it was going to end, and it was like, oh. Okay, well,
he's like, ha, got y'all this time.
Yeah, like the world is coming to an end and we have to kill one of you. And then literally none of them die. And guess what happens? The world ends. Like,
that's the twist.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the twist.
I guess. I mean,
the twist is that there's no twist.
So, and then Thanksgiving is just your cheesy, corny slasher film that just wasn't, that was trying to be like a old 2000s like slasher that just didn't go well. So just like they didn't do a good job with it. Like it just wasn't like an old 2000s slasher like they were trying to go for. It was just dumb, corny, very predictable. Like the villain of it, literally you could probably guess it from the first like 30 minutes of the film. So yeah,
that's never good.
Nope.
Well, there you go. There's your best from, or sorry, worst. No, worst, not your best. Barbie was your best, remember?
Yep, sure. Ryan Gosling.
And yeah, I think me and Johnny were talking a little bit about this before we started recording. I think I'd switch Quantumania and Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, having it at one, that's
so I'd switch them. They're all three bad. Like,
yeah.
I think Johnny mentioned it in our best of video. Like, if you notice the trend, I guess, like all of your, you know, I guess you could say your high profile, you know, sequels are bad.
Well, that's all we have now. Is the point I was making is it's like all the stuff we picked as our better ones were more original for the most part, original ideas. Right. And so like it's not a shock
and they were not big time movies, but these are all just bad.
I'm not gonna lie, Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, I completely forgot that was even a movie. Like I think that's how bad it was. Like I genuinely completely forgot about this movie and even watching it. Like
I will say with Rise of the Beast, the one sequence in Rise of the Beast I actually thought was kind of cool, even though I didn't think the movie was any good at all was the sequence where he basically gets the Transformer armor as his own suit and is like fighting off the bad guys at the end. Even though there's no way he could take out that Decepticon like he did, it was still kind of a cool thing, something we haven't seen before in a Transformers movie, other than the one movie where Sam gets the wrist rocket thing that he shoots at the
Starscream, was it Starscream?
Yeah, and like in Dark of the Moon or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a cool little nerdy, kind of cool action thing. But other than that, the movie was very forgettable.
I mean, that'd be the only thing I'd do. Looking back, I'd switch 3 and 1, but they're all 3 still bad.
To be fair, though, I think Transformers: Rise of the Beast was honestly better than the last 2 they made, though. Age of Extinction and Knights of the Fallen. So, like,
I mean, but
I mean, like, I don't think it was like
it's a low bar to cross, right?
I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a low bar, but yeah. Well, I had almost the same. The only difference was the worst one I saw last year was the Peter Pan remake on Disney Plus, which is we don't even have to talk about it.
That's another show. I didn't even watch it, but I completely forgot
I'd
they
watch
did a
it.
Peter Pan and Wendy show. Actually, like I completely forgot they did one.
Yeah, it was. It's like everything bad about Disney in 2024 or 2023 rolled up into one. It's like, let's do Peter Pan live action, but not as good as these other Peter Pan live actions we did like 20 years ago. And I'm like, okay, well, there you go. And it's just, yeah, hollow characters, nobody's heart was in it. The movie looks all sort of dreary and dark, and it's just lifeless compared to the sort of the wonder and imagination of like the original cartoon and even like the early 2000s Peter Pan that they did that I kind of grew up on. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And Quantum Mania, we talked about. Nothing else needs to be said. I mean, if you want to know our full thoughts, go to our consensus rankings video. And kind of like Schultz said, sometimes I forget there was even a 5th Indiana Jones movie. So it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't the worst thing I saw that year, but it was. It wasn't far.
Bad, though.
It wasn't far. So,
woo, man.
So we're just going to jump right into our worst of 2024. Now that we've kind of gotten our flashback from last year, and we're going to start like we did with our best of 2024 video. Everyone's going to start with giving their third best, and then second best, and then first best, and then we'll give some worst. Sorry, I gotta get out of the habit of doing. We just did the best one, so I gotta get out of the habit. But yes, worst of 2024. We're gonna start with. Yeah, they're all bad. End of the video. Thanks everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. But anyway, no. In all seriousness, Schultz, you're gonna kick us off with your third worst of third worst being the number one being the worst we've seen. We'll put it like that. So there we go.
Yeah, The Strangers. So this is a remake actually from the 2008 one, which I actually really liked. The 2008 one, that one was really good. This one, not so much. They completely changed the ending to it, which was kind of just like disappointing, I would say, or not necessarily disappointing. I mean, I guess it's a remake, so they got to try to change things up, but it just wasn't on par with the first one. I mean, the first one had like a kind of crazy, like shocking ending to it with basically it's 2008. I mean, people have to have seen this movie yet, so spoilers here. But basically, yes, obviously you haven't. But the wife and husband basically die literally at the end, and so like the way they die though is just kind of a little shocking. But this one, the girl ends up surviving, and I guess they're going to be making 2-3 other movies or some crap like that. It's like part 2, part 3.
We'll see.
So that was kind of dumb. The story was not really that great compared to the first one. I mean, it was just mediocre, not good. So. Yeah.
Modern remakes, man. Remakes and sequels.
Yeah, well, and that's just another thing. Like,
it
literally was like an unneeded remake. They didn't even have to remake this movie. Like, there's no point to it at all. Like, it was just, I don't know why they did it. They just probably did it to do it. Like, so.
Yeah, whatever. Remakes and sequels. Just go away.
Mhm.
All right, Scoozle, you're third. Oh, shocker, right? No, we're all shocked here.
Wow, that's not your number one worst thing you've watched in
Well,
Yeah,
2024.
the
that's the
fact
more
that this is
shocking.
number 3, the fact that this is number 3 ought to tell you that.
All
was
you
a
need to
bad
know.
It-
That's a good point.
we talked about this a lot. How in the holy, all things that are
Careful.
good, reads these scripts and says, "Yeah, this is great. Definitely don't need to rewrite anything." I mean, it's just insulting. I mean, the characters have less IQ points than they do midichlorians.
Valid.
Oh no.
Very valid.
It's so accurate. That's why it's funny.
I mean,
Oh,
Yeah.
it
whole
does
thing
feel like it's written by children. It really does.
yes. The whole series of Rush, badly written, and I have no desire to want to return to that timeline in Star Wars at all. Good job, Disney.
Can you put it any better than that? I don't think you can. We'll revisit this one. Trust me.
No, yeah, we will.
Believe that. Yeah. So my third. This one I watched relatively recently.
Well,
I think it was a
revisit
couple.
that one too.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. This is like the ultimate version of, hey, you remember that first movie you really liked this character? Let's do another one, except let's just undo all the great things about the first movie. And that's essentially what this movie is. And what's frustrating to me about this is in the trailer, when they first released the very first trailer to advertise this movie, it feels like they make it feel like it's going to be similar tone and everything to the first movie, and it looks really good. And then you watch the movie, and it's like you get about 20 or 30 minutes into the movie, and you're like, hey, this is pretty good, and it feels like the first one. And then that first musical number hits, and it's like I just got sucked. It's an out of body experience. It's like I've been sucked into an entirely different movie, and for the rest of the movie, you feel like you're watching two different movies. It is the
It's a
most
musical.
insane thing. It's one of those movies where I'm like, I don't know what to feel about this. I just know I don't like it, and because the parts where it's just a normal movie are actually still pretty good, but when it's intermixed with all the random musical numbers, it's just
Awful.
It's awful.
We'll revisit. I got some good points for this one too.
but then you get to the end of the movie, and essentially they deconstruct Joker's character completely, and he reverts back to what he was. Spoiler, right? To what he was at the beginning of the first Joker movie, and then there's the ending, which I won't spoil. It just made me hate this movie, and it made me not really care about watching the first one again either. And like that's the ultimate slap in the face, I feel like.
One thing I say about this movie though, this movie probably had honestly, personally, I think I had one of the best scenes though, where Harley Quinn's character kind of marks the glass with lipstick, and it like forms like a smile on his face. Like that shot was phenomenal. I love that shot right there. Like that was great. Other than that though, I fell asleep.
It's got great moments in it, like that feel like the first, and that's why this is such a weird movie to talk about, because it has genuinely great moments in it that are like, hey, this is the first movie. It's the same tone and everything. Yeah. Cool. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix is still great as the Joker. Like he's still phenomenal, but it's just like it gets undermined by everything else, and I think that's why it's such an angering movie to think about. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. So we'll jump right into Schultz's number 2, and it is another M. Shyamalama Ding Dong movie.
Sure is, because I got trapped into watching another M. Night Shyamalan movie. That was a knee slapper.
I don't have a don't. But I need to get one for.
I don't even know.
Why do you keep doing this to yourself? I really
don't know, bro. I think it stemmed from me watching what is the one movie he made where it was like oh my god, I can't even remember. It was an old one. Well, I know it was also Signs though, and The Village. So like The Village, when I was young, that movie like terrified me, and so like I really liked it, and so like I just like ever since watching that and Signs and like even The Sixth Sense, like he did a phenomenal job. The Sixth Sense, like I don't know, it just like after watching those, I was like, oh yeah, this could be decent. And then like every time I'm just like, okay, well I'm just gonna watch it because you never know. And then like I'm just met with disappointment every time now, ever since those 3 movies. So
I think the only one of his I've seen is Signs, and I didn't care for it. I was like,
see, I really like Signs, honestly. I don't know why. I've always loved that movie since I was probably like a little middle schooler watching it.
The ending is so dumb to me, like how the mom's dream or her like phrase is like future some. I was like, that's just stupid to me.
Fair, I guess. But yeah, this one I don't know. I mean, like literally everything that happens in the trailer is exactly what happens in the movie. Like him holding, like obviously like you find out like that he has someone in his basement. So like I was expecting it to be like maybe like a plot twist. Maybe he's like getting like blackmailed into doing this or just like something. No, he literally has this person trapped in his basement and he's actually a serial killer. Like that's literally all it is. It just didn't have, again, the only plot twist it had. I'm gonna spoil it anyway because I don't really care. Like if you don't wanna, if people don't wanna, hear it, then close your ears, I guess, or something. I don't know. But the plot twist was literally, his wife was the one that ratted him out, pretty much. So like that wasn't even really a plot twist though at all.
Just like, hey, she's been a good citizen.
Yeah, exactly. And so it just like it was just terrible, like not good. So
yeah, I saw the trailer and I was like, no.
When I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, this could be again interesting. Like they're showing like obviously has someone trapped in his basement. So I was like, okay, well he's got to have some sort of plot twist, like weird plot twist or crazy plot twist, like up his sleeve because that's M. Night Shyamalan. Like that's what he's known for. But no, so.
I feel like that's all he's known for. Like people are like, he's not that good of a filmmaker. He just has plot twists, and people are like, okay. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah, I don't. He's one of those filmmakers where I'm like, people love him because reasons, but they're not necessarily good ones. It's like you saying, I love watching this guy's stuff because of a plot twist. It's like. Yeah, I mean Christopher Nolan does plot twists too, but he also makes like usually good movies to go along with it. So it's like, it's not a very good reason to get me to go see one of his things. But
yeah.
Anyway, it's Scoozle. You're number 2. Oh, there we go.
There it is again. I mean, this. I'm with you. This movie I was so irritated after it was over. The first Joker, it was gritty, intense, psychological thriller, and it explored a lot of complex themes, mental illness and societal breakdown, and it was raw and dark, and it didn't need gimmicks or unnecessary changes to make a statement. So I'm with you. I don't know why in the world anybody would think it's a good idea to turn Joker 2 into a freaking musical.
This feels so tone deaf to me, like completely tone deaf. I'm like, I don't even want to talk about it. I
signed up for a continuation of Arthur Fleck's, descent into chaos, not a flashy musical that completely breaks any tone that was set.
And what's funny, apparently, I was looking into some of this. Apparently, the director, I think it's Todd Phillips, he didn't even want to do another one. They basically were like, hey, this one made over $1 billion. we're giving you 200 million when like the budget for the first one was like 50 or 60 million or something, and they were like, we're going to give you $200 million to do a sequel because the first one made a lot of money, and he was like, I don't really want to, but I guess I'll do it. But like my thing is, I don't know if it was just like an up yours to Warner Brothers because
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like he probably sabotaged it on purpose because he didn't want to do it.
I mean,
like,
but they signed off
feels
on
to
it.
me
Here
like
we are again. You all sat in a room and read it and signed off on it.
Yeah,
so this sounds good.
Yeah, that's one of those like the Acolyte or whatever, where they're like, yeah, this is a great idea, and you're thinking, how is this ever a good idea?
Just wait till I get to the first one.
Yeah.
That's not even work.
I mean, like, I would have been fine if they, like, I mean, I don't know. I was okay if they would have done, like, maybe one, like, musical, like, you know, like, type thing in there, and then that's it. But, like, have the whole movie basically just be a musical Joker movie just wasn't it. But again, if they just would have done, like, one, like, whatever, okay, I can get behind that. That's fine. Okay. But, like, to have the whole movie, that's
baffling.
Anyway. I know we already talked about that one, but
yeah, but I mean, we're probably just gonna keep getting angrier and angrier the more we talk about it. So
just wait till y'all get to y'all's number one.
I was gonna say my number two and my number one. Which number two I don't care enough, but like, so I know. So I know neither of y'all. I'm pretty sure neither of y'all actually watched season 2.
No, because it's hot garbage.
Why would I waste my time?
So I'm going to preface this. I don't know. So I'm going to put a little asterisk next to this because I'll admit off the top of this, I did not watch the entire season. I could not bear to watch the entire season. But that is why it is as high on my list as it is, because me and Drew were talking about this before we started. For me, the telltale sign that your movie or your show is bad is if I don't finish it, because I almost never not finish a movie or a TV show. And so, because I'm one of those that I hate to start something and then not finish it. So if it's bad, if it's to the point where like I'm not even finishing it, you know it's bad. And so, I wanted to quit this show after the first 3 episodes of season 1. I was convinced to watch the rest from a friend, and I regretted that after making it through those 8 episodes because it didn't get any better. This is well documented, the problems with this show, so I'm not going to go into any serious detail. But like most people say, it's basically like it's Lord of the Rings fanfic. It's not anything like it's horribly written. It's slow. It's boring. And when you get into season 2, the reason I wanted to watch, because they dropped the first 3 episodes all at once, the reason I wanted to watch and see what it was like is because there was all these rumors after season 1 ended of like them firing people, then bringing in new writers and bringing in a new showrunner. The original showrunners were getting sidelined. They were making a bunch of changes. So like I wanted to see if they would actually change anything majorly to try to improve the show to save it, because it's well documented as well that it's the most expensive TV show of all time. So,
yeah, and all the money went to the visuals, and that was it. Like,
and even the visuals are not great. I mean, let's be honest. If you've seen it, they're not the best.
Visuals.
I mean, the Penguin and Shogun had better visuals than this one, and so, but. I'll shorten all that to say I got through the first 3 episodes of season 2, and it was the same show as season 1. It was slow. It was boring. It was horribly written. The characters were the same. It was just like it's Groundhog Day again. I've already seen this, and I don't want to see any more of it. I was like, I'm not doing this again. And so when I got through the 3rd episode, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. There's no you can't make me. You have to tie me down and make me watch it because I'm not going to do it. And it's just one of those things that this will probably go down in the TV world as the biggest flop of all time in terms of the expectation, the intellectual property involved, and all of that. I don't think it's going to be close. But I mean, there are people saying we'll see what season 3 how it holds in store. And I'm like, I wouldn't guarantee season 3, folks. I wouldn't do it. But some people are glutton for punishment. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at on that one. We'll just jump right into our number ones. So
I think they just need to scrap that entire thing and just make like a Shadow of Mordor show, maybe about like Talion. Like I'd be down for that, honestly.
That was a good game.
Exactly. I think
Yeah. So let's. Yes, it needs to be scrapped because there's no redeeming qualities at this point, and there's nobody left to stick around to watch it. Like it was well documented season 1 that after 3 episodes or whatever it was, they lost 63% of their audience. And so if you do the math on that, if you keep those, or I think it was from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, they lost like 63% or something. And so if you do the math on that 37% that hung around, I would bet you a lot of that 37% that hung around for season 2 probably dropped off even more so. So the numbers on that are probably astronomically lower. And so like who's watching your show? And so that's, I mean, all the hardcore fans have already left a long time ago. So yeah, I just think it needs to go away and never return because it's bad. But number 1, Schultz. Oh, there we go.
Wow,
there
The Acolyte. I don't even know what to say about this hot pile of garbage.
I think Drew summed it up pretty well in his
pretty much.
His angry rant.
I don't even know. The show is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I really think, like, honestly, it could have been better if they would have dived into the murder mystery aspect that they were going for in the first like episode, and like what they did with the trailer, because that's like what they were
and what they promised us and all their promotional material. Yeah, that would be nice to actually, do what you said you're going to do.
Yeah, I mean that's like the one thing I was looking forward to the show was like a murder mystery crime type, like, I don't know, Star Wars show. I thought it was gonna be good because of that, but yeah, they went with that with the first maybe first episode, and that was it. Maybe
two episodes.
Yeah. And then they dived completely in the opposite direction. Like it just was weird, and like just like the little different like plot holes they had, it just like none of it made sense. So yeah,
I think what Drew said too, and I won't go too much into this because news flash, big reveal. This is also my number 1 worst thing that I saw 2024. But I think just like the fact that the characters do extremely dumb and nonsensical things, like that just, and I'll go through a couple of those examples real briefly when I get to mine. But yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad.
Well,
there's not a whole lot.
Like none of the characters you really care for either. Like you just don't have any like emotional attachment to like any of them. Like I could care less if like any of them died. I mean, the only cool thing I think about the show is honestly I can't remember this. Was his name the stranger?
Smiler Ren.
Yeah, Smiler Ren. What was his name?
Yes.
Was it the stranger?
Yeah, something like
that.
Okay, that's what they called him.
Quamir was the name of the guy that was like under the mask. But.
Okay, yeah, but anyway, though, like that first scene where we finally see him, I guess, in the forest when they're going to Chewbacca, pretty much cousin. That was probably honestly the best scene, I would say. Like the fight scene there was pretty decent.
It was the best episode because it was just nonstop action for the entire episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his entire lightsaber, his entire helmet, like mask, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, that was probably the best part. So
anyway,
here we go.
Oh,
what's your number 1?
No, hold on. It's gonna load.
Oh, Madam Web.
It's wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, there it is.
Once again, this is another movie that I completely forgot came out.
See, exactly. Listen, this is another one. I would love to be in those meetings at Sony. I'm absolutely baffled how things like that are getting greenlit. This is the worst superhero movie ever made.
Hey, it's bad when
Was
Sydney Sweeney and Dakota Johnson were like toasting this movie right after it came out. Like the people who starred in the movie.
Wait, so you
That
think this
completely
movie was?
roasting it.
You think this movie was worse than It's Morbin Time? Like Morbius? Like
This makes Morbius look like the Dark Knight.
okay. I mean,
oh, that's funny.
Like, okay,
I avoided this movie like the plague because I was
Yeah,
like, I don't
same.
think I could have sat through it.
terrible writing, characters, action set pieces are just awful. Dakota Johnson is dull, boring. I mean, I give that to a terrible script to some degree, but
Well, she fired her agent after this. I'm pretty sure, like, straight up fired him. She was fired him or her because obvious reasons, right? Like, shoot, I would.
especially in fire.
I mean, you just look at you need to go look at the list of people that, like, the director and all the people that produce. Like, look at their records. They've never made a good movie.
I don't even know who directed this movie. Like,
but exactly, they continue to get hired.
No,
It was S.J. Clarkson.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
Okay, here's some of his movies. Her movies, sorry.
Oh, the girl.
She did The Defenders on Netflix. She did Jessica Jones.
Ugh.
She did Life on Mars.
I don't know what that is.
Exactly.
Wait, what was the second one you said?
Jessica Jones.
Oh, okay. Okay, but to be fair, like The Defenders wasn't good, but like I don't think it was necessarily bad either. It had its moments. So
This is bad.
No, I know. I mean, I agree. This is fucking freaking terrible. So
I mean, this is just this is a
terrible.
god awful movie. It is.
Yeah.
The Defenders is definitely on the list of all the Netflix shows. The only one that's worse than it is Iron Fist.
Agreed.
Like, Iron Fist is hot garbage. I could talk for a long time about how bad that show is, but
I think Jessica Jones,
This is
honestly, I'd
worse.
put below Defenders too, though. Honestly, I don't think Jessica Jones is all that great.
well, I would too, just because Daredevil's in the Defenders, and I'm like, yeah,
Exactly.
Daredevil.
And yeah, and Luke Cage. I think Luke Cage wasn't terrible. But,
Yes, Luke Cage is great too. Yeah.
all right.
The show I didn't care for as much, but the character I do like.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's why-
another
I mean,
topic.
This movie is the only reason Acolyte's not number one.
I don't blame you. I've heard a lot of bad things, and I was like, nope, not doing it. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Some people say it's better if you watch it as a comedy, like an unintentional comedy, then it's actually kind of hilarious. But if you want to suffer through it, be my guest.
I mean, the concept is not a bad idea, but everything else is bad.
But it's like, hey, Penguin. It's like how Penguin was phenomenal. This one was like the complete opposite direction. Like, let's do a movie / TV show about a character that's not the main character of that universe, and like complete 180 from Penguin. Yeah,
I mean, they do it every time. Like, what is it, Craven, Madam Web, Morbius?
yeah. I heard Craven was not
I didn't
great
watch
either.
Craven.
Craven
After
was
Madam
terrible.
Web, I was like, I'm done.
Which that
Yeah,
one came
Rhino-
out too late in the year for me to watch it anyway.
Rhino looks absolutely, like so bad. Like, I
He
don't
said,
know. Like, I haven't even seen the movie, but I've just seen pictures, and yeah, like Rhino just looked terrible.
Well, I'll go ahead and round it out since we've already done this one. Beat it to death already. I'm not going to say much about it. I don't.
He's already dead.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, you can't. You can only. I mean, at this point, it's been strung up and burned and beat to death, and yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those things that. Like, I think Drew wrapped it up nicely, where it's like, how do you get into the cutting floor of this and be like, yeah, this sounds great, let's do this, and then it actually gets shot, and they watch it and they're like, yeah, this looks great, let's do this, and we're like, it is baffling that these things get made, and like, I hate it because it's kind of an interesting time period to explore. A lot of Jedi around. And like that one episode where we get that epic lightsaber battle is actually some of the better choreography we've gotten of lightsaber duels in a while. But it's like I said, as soon as someone speaks, it's like, oh yeah, I'm watching The Acolyte. It's like I thought I was watching the prequels for a second, and I'm just watching The Acolyte. So, I don't even. This is one of those where Leslie Headland should never touch anything Star Wars ever again, or anything else I love ever again. Just like Rian Johnson, like go away, please. Don't come back.
They'll keep hiring them.
Yeah, just yeah. Don't want to. J.J. Abrams, go away. Yeah, we don't want to see you again. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna do our dishonorable mentions real quick, and then we'll wrap things up. But Schultz, you need to explain yourself here.
Yeah, I sure will.
Because this is a bit.
Yeah, this hurts.
So
this hurts.
let me just like start off by saying that, like, was it like a bad movie? No, not by any means. Like, it was a good movie, don't get me wrong, but like it just wasn't. I think it just got way too overhyped for me. Like, everyone's telling me like, oh my god, this movie's amazing. This is like the next coming to like Lord of the Rings and all this other stuff. So I was going into it like expecting like perfection, and I was just met with like, I don't know, just like a little bit of disappointment. Like, I just thought this movie, for starters, is almost 3 hours long. I'm pretty sure. I think it was like 2 hours and 45 minutes. Very long movie. And I could maybe contradict myself here by saying this, but like it just felt like it was very slow, but also rushed at the same time for me. Like, there was the beginning and middle was just very just slow, and then you get to the end and like there's just like this build up to like have like a war, I guess it felt like, and you don't really get to see that at all at the end. You just see basically Timothée Chalamet's character fight the one dude, I can't remember his name,
Fade Rauta.
Yeah, and that was kind of really it. But like I was expecting it to be like more of like a war going on at the end. It just like this build up to a war that was going to happen, but then you don't really see that. It just kind of like almost like happens off screen, I'm guessing, or something like that. Like it just
well, so they in the book
either.
Yeah, but in the book at least, I feel like the battle sequence was probably a little bit more drawn out. That like because basically he basically deceives the Emperor into, or basically draws the Emperor out to where he can confront him in a way that doesn't involve basically starting a holy war, which is what he was trying to avoid, which still ends up kind of happening anyway.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where they do it pretty much how it happens in the book. I just wish the one assault on the Emperor's ship would have lasted more than like 5 seconds. Because he does fight the guy at the end in one-on-one, like single combat. And
which
all that happens the way it's supposed to, but I think it is very rushed. Like it just kind of boom and it's done. So
because I mean it's just like they drag it out for again 2 hours and 45 minutes, just like kind of like a build up, and then it just, I don't know, it just kind of left me a little feeling like a little anticlimactic and just like not like almost like wanting more to an extent, but like not feeling satisfied with it. And don't get me wrong, like the end fight scene was cool. It was good. Like I thought it was choreographed pretty well, and all that, but yeah, it just felt really slow and rushed at the same time. Also, I didn't really care for like the whole like water of life thing. So like, well, not care for it, but like obviously like it just kind of like skips to him drinking the water of life, and then like boom, he's just like this completely 180 different person and stuff. Like I wish they would have maybe like dived into that a little bit more and given us more of like an explanation on like
that's why what we were talking about earlier about them leaving out like chunks of the book. That's where his sort of descent into that, like in the book, they kind of make it to where the water kind of makes him do that, but sort of the whole book and the events that happen basically slowly turn him into that character. And then the water is just like his final kind of step over the edge, I guess I would say.
It's hard to know what's going on if you hadn't read or listened to the book.
Yeah, see, and that's where I think maybe like I probably would have enjoyed it more if I would have read the books before watching the movies. But like just watching the movies and not reading the books, I just don't think these movies were all that great. Do I think they were like bad? No. Do I think they were on par of like Lord of the Rings and stuff? Absolutely not. Like I think they were way worse than that. And for like people to like put it on a pedestal and say that it is close to being like as good as Lord of the Rings just like disgusts me because like I'm sorry, like this cannot compare to Lord of the Rings. Like it won't. So
And that's not what I was saying. I was just saying the reason that it's so well received is because
Yeah.
this is probably a more difficult book to adapt than Lord of the Rings was, and yet he was able to do it successfully and stick to the book. And I think that's why I said, in terms of book to movie adaptations, what he did was very impressive considering the source material. And I think that's
like,
where I'm
the
at.
way Frank Herbert writes, like I don't know of anybody else that writes like that. Like I struggled reading it, like let alone adapting it into 2 movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's fair. Also, another thing I guess I want to point out too, I think that I wish he would have done a better job with the I can't remember what are the main villains, like their tribe, I guess, or like
the Harkonnens.
Harkonnens, yeah. So like I think that they did a really good job in the first one, like showing them as like these very terrifying group of people that could literally just slaughter an entire planet if they wanted to almost. In the second one, they just felt like they were side villains just getting absolutely mauled by Timothée Chalamet and his people. Like I just thought that was kind of dumb. Like I think like they should have like kept it like they just like I don't know, they just like dumbed down the villain almost in a way. Like it just like almost like felt like he just like they weren't anything, they weren't this big bad anymore. They were just like nothing. So that was like another little pet peeve of mine that I just thought was kind of think they could have done better. Like had the villains, I don't know, stay more, I would say terrifying in a way in the second one. So yeah. And then Long Legs. Dive into this one. The only reason why I put this on the list is well, not only reason, it just wasn't what I expected it was going to be. The trailer. I can't remember. It came out the trailer for this movie that what they did is they had the main actress here hooked up to a heart rate monitor for the first time she saw Nicolas Cage in character and with all the makeup on playing the villain, and her heart rate was like skyrocketed to like 160 or something like that. Like her actual heart rate, because this is her first time ever seeing Nicolas Cage in all the makeup and like first time seeing him. And so that's kind of the main reason why I wanted to go see this movie, was because the fact that this actress like was hooked up to this heart rate monitor and that was her actual heartbeat. It was like beating that fast from sitting there looking at the main, like, you know, I would say villain of the movie here, the scary movie here, horror movie. That was, yeah, main reason why I wanted to see it. But like, it just like the plot was very crappy, wasn't really that well written, and it was kind of predictable. Yeah, so.
Yeah, not that, you know, I haven't seen it because I don't do the horror. So
yeah,
I'll avoid. But yeah, this is my dishonorable mentions. This was actually just edited today because
are you you expected Red One to be good?
No, but it was bad. So
well,
so funny enough, I watched it because I thought we were going to do some kind of Christmas theme video, which we didn't end up doing this year, and I was kind of wanting to do a review on some modern Christmas something, and I didn't even finish this movie. I made it like halfway through it, and I was like, literally a waste of my time. Like, pretty great cast in it. It's just not. It's not good. It's a very played out and tropey. I don't even think you can call it a Christmas movie. It's just like an action-ish. Chris Evans plays the same character he's played in every movie since he stopped being Captain America, which is like a jerk that's
an idiot,
you know, unlikable and kind of. He's like, oh, since I had to play this really super good guy character, I just need to go and do the polar opposite in all the rest of my movies. So he plays the same character. Dwayne Johnson and J.K. Simmons look like they don't want to be there. Like they look like they have no interest in playing in this movie.
Let's be honest, though, Dwayne Johnson really honestly hasn't been like in anything good ever since, I would say, Fast 6. So
and he's pretty good in those movies as the the character he portrays. Like he does. I think it's some of his better acting parts personally. But no, this one, half the actors look like they don't want to be there, and then the rest of the movie is just like a forgettable action. You're just tropey. Villain wants to steal Santa Claus, and villain is bad because for bad sake. There's really no. It just feels very cartoony, basically. Gladiator 2, I just actually started this today, and it was not on my list until today. This is what I told to you guys earlier in the day. I have not finished this. I'm only part of the way through it, but that's all I needed.
It can't be that bad, though. Like, come on. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like if I just shut my brain off and watch this movie, I think I'd probably like it personally. So
this is what I said to y'all in the group text. I said, if you're thinking about watching Gladiator 2, go watch the first Gladiator and skip this one. Because it is literally the same movie, but way worse. Literally beat for beat, other than like very small story adjustments. It is the same movie for the first 30 or 40 minutes. Like, guy, gets captured by the Romans, and the Romans make him a gladiator. He goes to the exact same gladiator pit that Maximus goes to at the beginning of the first Gladiator, and it's like he wants to fight because he wants to kill the one leader guy that killed his family, and it's like the same movie, and it's not as good. It's not even. I'm like, this is one of those where I'm like, why? Like this, it's like Avatar: The Way of Water. Where it's the same movie, it's not as good as the first. It's like Star Wars: The Force Awakens, where it's like the same as A New Hope, not as good. It's to me, it's just like there's no. Why would I watch this movie when I could watch this movie but better? So that's where I'm at. It just made me want to stop watching it and go watch the first one. It's not great. And then Dune Prophecy, another one. All of these, the theme is that I have not finished them because they suck. So I made it literally 15 minutes into episode 2 of Dune Prophecy and quit. I was like, I don't want to suffer through this anymore.
But not much further.
Yeah. Everything great about the Dune movies is absent in this. It's boring. It's tedious. It is it's not fun to watch. And that's very much how I feel watching Rings of Power, which it takes the joy out of watching something. It's just you feel the life sucked out of you as you watch it. So it's just a big disappointment considering how good I thought the movies were. But
they got some decent actors in it too, I think.
Yeah.
The guy from Vikings.
Travis Flamel.
Yeah. Yes. The guy from Vikings. He plays the character pretty well.
He does.
I think the bald-headed dude, I can't remember his name though, but he's pretty good too. He's in Kingsman and all that.
Yeah. They could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The political intrigue, I think, is what they were trying to go for, but it's not.
It falls really flat. Yeah.
So really no action in it, I'm guessing. It's more of just political and talking and stuff.
I mean, there's a little in every episode, but it's not. It's meant to be political intrigue, and this is the beginning of the. It goes over the beginning of the Bene Gesserit and how they basically got control. This is basically how they got as much power as they did.
Gotcha.
I've only made it 4 episodes, I think.
Interesting.
Which is probably all you'll make it through too. Let's be honest.
Probably.
I hadn't wanted to pick. I hadn't had time, or wanted to make time to pick it back up.
Yeah, I mean, I had no intention really of watching it just because, again, just wasn't the biggest fan of Dune Part 2. But
Yeah, I mean, I won't say, I'll just end it with this, but it's one of those where it's like, it fluctuates between wanting to be like high fantasy epic drama to like CW level, like teen drama, where it's like some sequences you're like, who wrote this? And then other sequences you're like, looks kind of like and feels kind of like Dune, but it's just not fun to watch. It's not enjoyable to watch,
gotcha.
and it's just Ethan, you would hate it. Like I'm almost say that. If you didn't like part 2 of Dune, you will not like the show.
Fair enough.
The show's worse.
Yeah, much worse.
All right.
But that's it. That's all we got for our worst of 2024. Thank you all for joining us, and we are going to get some sleep. So we'll see y'all later.
Yeah.